So we are back, okay, and today I want to get into the childhood trauma, religious trauma, the abandonment of some of these men. Now, are y'all ready? Let's sit back and let's get into it. Now, you know I gotta remind y'all to like, subscribe. You like my videos? Stay for a while. Get notifications. Learn with me. Let's grow together, okay? Now, subscribe, all right? I am Denise Brady. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And so today I really want to focus on what I do best. Focus on childhood trauma and how it shows up in our relationship dynamics. Looking at the cast of this season's Love is Blind. Now, there have been different dynamics, some bombshells. I've heard the word narcissist thrown out there a couple times. The buzzword of the year, narcissist. Some trauma, but I really want to get into how these men are showing up. And once again, I want to remind you, this is all commentary based off of what I'm seeing on edited shots, edited people. These are not my personal clients, so don't come for me, okay? But let's get into it. Now, first, I want to really speak on Izzy, okay? Because with Izzy, I've heard the word narcissist thrown out there. I've also heard it for another castmate that I'll get into later. But I don't see how people just love to think everyone's a narcissist. Do I think Izzy is a narcissist? I'm not his therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist either. So I'm not going to call him a narcissist, but I do think he has some of the things of insecurity, that insecure attachment, a little bit of anxious attachment is showing up for me in his dynamics. Throughout these episodes, we learn more about his childhood. I see some abandonment, some self-esteem issues related to, you know, the biological father and how that really plays a role of how he sees himself as a man. He's had a lot of rejection. He might be feeling rejection from his biological father, and now to feel rejection from women, he has to mask that. He has to mask it through charisma, through charm. I would be really interested to hear about other relationships he has had with other partners and see how some of that charm worked for him, against him. He reminds me of a gentleman who a lot of my clients are healing from. Trying to heal from the wounds of being with someone who has charm, charisma, personality. But what's really behind that, okay? What's really behind what he is putting out there versus what he is living in? And I've also seen comments about him being an undercover F-boy. Now, he does come off to me like, is he really genuinely interested in Stacy? Was he really genuinely interested in Lydia or Johnny? Or was it all about feeling that, you know, I like to talk about that ego. Was the ego at the forefront, okay? Because I'm not sure if he really was developing natural relationships with any of these people, or was it more about feeling that ego? We saw how with Stacy off the bat, he was talking about how he was dreaming and thinking about what she looked like physically, sexually. Too soon, okay? Too soon. And also the religious part of him, he is a past, I don't know if you would say past, or, you know, he was born and raised in a religious Jehovah's Witness. Sometimes we can hear that that's a very restrictive, very rigid religion. I'm not the religion police, you know, so don't come in my comments saying like not all Jehovah's Witnesses are like him. That's not where I'm coming from, but I want to tell you guys and let you know there is a layer of religious trauma there. Only 2 years ago did he get a Christmas tree, so he is just really newly out of being in that religious aspect. Now I want to know, how did that affect his dynamics with friendships, socially? There's a lot there. I think he really needs some therapy to work through the issues inside him before he gets married. And I'm curious to see if him and Stacy actually walk down the aisle. Now, y'all have been in my DMs. Some of y'all have been in my DMs about the tea on some of these people. Give me spoilers, okay, about some of these folks. Next, I really want to talk about Chris, okay? We don't talk enough about Chris because he doesn't have the same, I think, drama and personalities as some of the other cast members. But I want to talk about him opening up about his sexual trauma that he went through early on. There was a lot of stigma around men opening up about being traumatized, about being taken advantage of. Can men really be taken advantage of? Yes. Okay. Chris, to me, I feel like is a person who is very vulnerable, who shows emotional intelligence from what I've seen so far. And I feel like this is an example of someone wasting their vulnerability on someone too soon. Okay. Now, this is something that it sounds like he has never shared before. He's been keeping it inside. And it was sad to see him open up about this secret, about this trauma with someone like Johnny. And at the time, it did feel like some of her reactions were showing me a partner who can hold space. Okay. But then to see her kind of break up with him at the end, call it off, and the way she just walked out, I think she could have, you know, handled that a lot better. Now, Johnny is one of the ones y'all been in my DMs about. Okay. Some of the stuff that I said on my YouTube channel about some of these personality things, okay, some people are saying it's accurate. Now, my spidey sense is always right. My gut is always right, okay? But we can talk about Johnny and her attachment styles and some of the personality traits that I'm seeing in her in a different video. So let me know if you would like that little deep dive breakdown, okay? Now, going back to Chris, individuals, people, you have to realize and really suss out, is this person worthy of my vulnerability? Is this person worthy of me sharing this intimate detail about my life? Okay. I think sometimes we share too much too soon because maybe we feel a connection. Maybe we feel forced to share with people. Maybe they dump their own stuff on us so that we're like, okay, let me reciprocate and show equity. No, you don't have to do that with everyone. You can share details about your life that are not so intimate, not so private. I applaud him for sharing something so hurtful, so traumatic on national TV. We have to talk more about sexual assault and that happening to men. He was so young, and to know his friend was laying in the bed next to him when this happened, that makes me wonder about the friendship. But I hope that people do not waste their vulnerability, waste their emotional intelligence on the wrong person. Now, there are going to be times where you think you can share something with someone and then you share and then you realize that that's not the right person. I don't want people to share and then once they have the backlash or that person not being able to hold space, put a wall up. Because then that's not fair to the other partners you have moving forward, that you have this wall up. You have to learn to work through the disappointment, some of it the hurt of opening up to someone and them not able to hold space for you. So I really hope that he does not move forward with Johnny, because I just don't think that that's a match. Where she is emotionally intelligent compared to where he is, it's not a match. And I think he can get hurt in the long run by someone like Johnny. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know. Now, somebody that y'all have been in my DMs, not my DMs, but my comments about is Uche. Okay. He's a narcissist. He is condescending. Okay, he was too hard. Now, I think for him, you have to remember he's a lawyer. Okay, lawyers speak a certain way. I'm a therapist. Even when I'm not doing therapy, sometimes my mind goes to being a therapist because that's just what's ingrained in me. Okay, now he has some walls up there. I can tell there's been some trauma there. I'm wondering about how he is able to turn off being a lawyer and show up emotionally. Once again, that emotional intelligence, okay, I think it lacked in certain scenes, but I also, y'all not gonna like this, think that there was a double standard in that scene with the way he was speaking to Aaliyah about cheating. You have to realize, I'm trying to marry somebody. In only what, 14 days I'm engaged, I'm proposing. You want to make sure that this person is worthy, that this person, I don't want to be walking down that aisle and then 3 months later you robbed a bank, you a pedophile, you got all these secrets. And now if the roles were reversed and a woman was to ask those same questions, would there have been the same backlash? I want people to realize this is marriage. It's not about dating. and I only get a small amount of time to get to know you, to understand you, to know what you could be hiding from me. And everyone's saying he gives me narcissistic vibes, he's a red flag. I'm not saying that some of that stuff was not there. Do I think he's a narcissist? I'm not quite sure. I'm not going to throw that word out there because everybody and their mama do. I don't really see him as narcissistic versus somebody who has walls up and doesn't understand how sometimes how they approach conversations can really be hurtful, can really be condescending. That is something I think can be educational, and the right partner and probably therapy too can make him understand how his words are used to hurt people sometimes. And maybe he doesn't do it on purpose, but we got some things to work on now. I think I want to know more about his childhood. I would like to know more about the dynamics between him and his own family. If we see more of him this season, will we learn more about his family? So these are some of the things that came to me as a therapist. Now, we use the buzzword narcissistic too often for too many people. There's so many armchair people, narcissist, in the comments saying that he's a narcissist. I just don't see it. But then once again, these are edited scenes. I'm only getting so much from this, okay? So please, if you think that someone is a narcissist, really educate yourself about the traits. Educate yourself about how harmful using that word is with everyone, or just labeling someone a narcissist. On my platform, I really try not to label people as, oh, she's a borderline, he's a narcissist. I try not to do that. I'd say like people living with borderline personality disorder, because these are stigmatized words. Words mean things, people. So we have to recognize when we are armchair diagnosing someone versus really knowing the depths of what that diagnosis means, what those words mean. So please be careful, y'all. Now, the next person I want to talk about, I guess we can talk about Milton. Now, Milton is too young for this show, okay? He comes off to me very parentified. I often wonder about people who spent a lot of their time in books. He had an associate's degree by the time he graduated high school. He needs to live some life. He had really much, a lot of adult responsibilities, not so much in what we typically see of like taking care of a household, but more studying. When you're like 14 and you're in college, okay? He doesn't really seem like he had a lot of childhood. He needs to tap in more to that inner child, embracing the things he missed upon because he was studying. It sounds like he was moving a lot also. Him and the dynamic between Lydia, I just don't see it. He's just too young. He needs to live a lot more of his life. He needs to learn socially things, social cues. I think sometimes when you are forced into adult environments at a young age, you don't know how to function socially. You don't know how to show up. Do I show up as my like 14-year-old, 15-year-old self? Or do I show up as like some of these other people who are in their 30s, late 20s, getting their degrees? It can be quite confusing. And I just don't see the match between them. Similar to what his mama said, what purpose do you have with somebody who's 24? Or are you just getting with him because you want to move forward in the show? Are you using him? There are a lot of dynamics here that just don't sit right with me. I really think he needs to talk about and discuss and process some of that inner childhood stuff, how it was for him to feel the pressure of being so smart, so successful, when really maybe he just wanted to be a child. Sometimes people who grow up with the pressures of having to show up with these adult responsibilities, we see them become anxious. We see them not understanding their role in life. All that pressure, it doesn't just go away once you become an adult. It continues with you now in relationships, how you show up in the workplace, career decisions, oftentimes trying to figure out what is my place? How do I show up? And I'm wondering how that more is going to show up in his dynamic with Lydia. Now, the last person, the last man we're going to focus on is JP, Mr. America. There wasn't a lot there for me. I think he's kind of quirky and a little bit of an oddball. Very much seems like he's a Republican. And so I want to learn more about him, but these are my like the childhood trauma, the anxiety, some of the attachment styles that I saw in some of these men. Men need therapy just as much as women do. There's still a lot of shame and stigma around men going to therapy, but I hope that after this season, some of them reflect on how they're showing up on screen and really just realize it's okay to pick up the phone and call a therapist. Now, if you got to this part in the video, I really appreciate you. Make sure you help my video with the algorithm, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.